Okay, so let's move from something that is that just arrived to something that's going to be coming out actually the week before. Okay, and that's Elemental. Elemental. So I've only seen this trailer once, and I gotta say, and that's not any fault of my own. It's the only time I've seen it when I've gone to the movies. Not that it's not the first thing I look up on YouTube. Let's put it that way. But when I saw it, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool concept, no pun intended, and I thought that Pixar did a really good job with this. Now, I need to this this is something that you know um, I will sit down and watch too, and I'm interested in, but we'll see what happens. So the reason I bring this up, okay, is because we have um, Jeremy, who actually was on the show yesterday. Like I said, actually wrote this piece about the box office projections. And he says that Elemental is projected to earn $40 million, okay, which ranks among Pixar's lowest. The first round of box office projections for Disney's Pixar's Elemental are not looking good, as the original title about a city of fire and water, plant and air is being tracked as one of the worst openings for Pixar history. Currently, Elemental is projecting for an opening weekend around $40 million. And the nearly 30 years of Pixar feature films, in which include 23 that have been theatrically released, only two have earned 3 day openings of less than $40 million. The first was Good Dinosaur, and also from Elemental director Peter Song, which opened at 35 million over the 3 days over Thanksgiving weekend in 2015. The second film was Onward, which opened at $39 million in March of 2020 on the weekend just before the COVID-19 shut theaters down for a year. Since then, the only Pixar films to get a full theatrical release is last year's Toy Story spinoff Lightyear, which flopped with a $50.5 million domestic opening and a final total of $118 million and 226 worldwide against a $200 million budget before marketing costs. Projections can greatly Projections can change greatly in the first 3 weeks between the first round of tracking and its release. But Disney has a lot of work to do convincing audiences, especially families, to come out for Elemental. The wildly successful Universal picture Super Mario and even Minions: The Rise of Goku have had the advantage of being based on established shows that families have returned to theaters. Now Disney must convince them to do the same with an original Pixar film, something that was an easy layup for families in the 2000s and early 2010s. Having stronger reviews than Lightyear would certainly be a good place to start. Disney is hoping to get that by screening Elemental on the final day of the Cannes Film Festival. Of course, there's a chance that this could backfire and get mixed reviews, like Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny got from Cannes critics last week. But a strong reception could be the start of at least Elemental getting on the radar of some sort of adult audiences, particularly parents. But beyond that, Disney must get families interested in seeing these movies on the big screen after the pandemic, um, offering well received Pixar titles such as Soul, Luca, and Turning Red as Disney exclusives. Such a focus on streaming was done under the directive of former CEO Bob Chapek, but studios insiders say that Chapek's departure and the return of Iger has led to a renewed focus on theatrical with longer windows for such animated titles as Elemental and Disney's Animation's 100th anniversary film Wish, which is due out th- um, Thanksgiving weekend. So let's talk about this because we actually touched on um, we actually touched on Wish the other day, and he brought up the same thing that he was bringing up in this piece is that it's got to have a really really strong opening weekend. Now, I saw Lightyear when it first came out, okay? And I didn't mind it. I'm not saying I loved it. I did, there were a lot of criticisms, I think, but I liked it. I liked it. It was fun. I think there were problems with it, okay? For example, I don't know why Tim Allen didn't come back and do, the voice for Lightyear. To me, when you have a character, okay, it doesn't matter if it's an animated character or a live action character, when you have a character come back after a long period of time, people remember that particular person, okay? I mean, unless they're wearing a mask like, Michael Myers or Jason or somebody else. But that being said, when you have a character such as a Buzz Lightyear, such as somebody else, I'm going to take Freddy Krueger, even though he had makeup on. People remember Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, okay? Or, I mean, even take Han Solo. People love Harrison Ford as Han Solo. I'm not saying that's why Solo busted, but the fact that you had a younger Han Solo didn't work. That being said, when you have a character like a Lightyear, okay, I think the fact that he did not come back and play the character was a big, big thing. And even the first minute of it, when he said, "This is based on the story of the Space Ranger Lightyear." So we're not getting Andy, we're not getting any of the other toys, we're not getting anyone. And I think that a standalone film like that is very difficult to do, especially when you have such a beloved character like that. Um, Now, let's talk about the box office real quick because that is one of the things where $40 million, that's tough. Okay. That's very, now, I will, truth be told, okay, Lightyear, I think, while it wasn't that good of a movie, it really had the pandemic too. Okay. It opened a week before that, or, right around, and that really hurt its earnings. I mean, when you only earn $226 million against a $200 million budget, that's really hard. They need a win. Pixar really, really needs a win. Um, I would even go so far as to say this. I think that this could be a prelude to what we see in for Wish in November. And it's a completely different story. We don't know what the story is yet and everything else. But if this doesn't perform well, okay, and mind you, you're going to have a ton of stuff. There's a lot of reasons why this might not perform well. Okay. Number one, you're going to have a lot of other things out. Okay. I mean, Guardians will have been out for a month. Okay. Fast X is still going to be there. And we got a story about that coming up in a couple minutes. Okay. You've got, Transformers. You've got Across the Spider Verse. And we have a story about that coming up. Stay tuned. But that being said, it's one of those things where you're going to have a lot of stuff out. And you're going to have to, with families, everything else, they're going to have to really pick and choose. I hope this does well. I really do because I think that it's one of those things that it could do it could do numbers. It could do numbers. If this gets they have to figure out if they want to roll the dice or not and put this at Cannes. Because if it does, and it does well, I mean we've seen both sides of the coin, right? We've seen Indiana Jones have over a $300 million budget and lukewarm reviews. That's really going to hurt opening weekend. I mean, look, it's still going to make $100 million. It's still going to do a lot of money, but it's not going to make as much money as it could. So it's going to have to rely on the overseas market, just like a Fast X. That being said, I think it will do well. I mean, I hope it does well. I'm going to go see it. I'm not going to cover it here as a spoiler cast on the channel. However, I am going to go see it because I'm fascinated in the concept. So, but $40 million, if this, anything is going to be better than what Lightyear did. I think if I had to put a prediction, two things. Number one, it's going to make more worldwide than Lightyear at 226, and number two, it's going to make more domestically than Lightyear. Now, I don't know how much it's going to make, overseas and everything else, but I would say this. So, um, we have one of our viewers here, Kevin. Indiana Jones Dial Destiny predicts $200 to $250 million debut. I don't know about that. I got to be honest, Kevin. I don't know about that. Because, well, I mean, look, okay. Think about this. Okay. Okay, 50 to 60. Okay, so I just was talking with Jeremy the other day, and as a matter of fact, he wrote this piece and he said 40. If it makes 50 to 60 opening weekend, that's really good. That's actually over expectation. So let's hope that makes 50 to 60. Okay. Um, but I think a couple of things, as I was just talking about. Number one, you're gonna have a lot of other stuff out. Okay. You're gonna have a lot of other stuff out. And I don't know if that's going to hurt it. Number two, you got to look at who's going to go see this, and that's families and parents and everything else. And number three, you're only as good as your last thing, and their last thing was Lightyear. So, and he said, Little Mermaid domestic. Actually, we're going to do a story in a couple of minutes, and you're about right. You're about right. So, let's but yeah, so that is Elemental. I think it's going to do. I hope it does well. So, what do you guys think, though? What do you guys think about the um? What do you guys think about the predictions for Elemental? Do you think that they are right on track, or do you think that it's going to be like Kevin and it's going to be more like 50 or $60 million? Um, leave me your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody.